Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty wild from 1992, the Pepsi Number Fever contest in the Philippines.
Oh yeah, this one's a story. Started as this huge hopeful thing, but it didn't end well.
Not at all. So the promise was massive, right? 1 million pesos if you found the right number under your Pepsi bottle cap.
And we need to really stress what 1 million pesos meant back then.
Absolutely. This wasn't just, nice pocket money. It was life-altering.
Totally. A ticket out of poverty for so many. Education for kids, a house, security, a completely different future.
It wasn't like some abstract lottery either. Bottle caps felt tangible. You could find them.
Right. That accessibility, I think, is key to why it took off so spectacularly. It felt possible.
And did it ever take off? Reports say families were hoarding caps. People were literally digging through trash.
Yeah, Pepsi themselves thought maybe half the population got involved. Half the country.
Just imagine that, the whole nation kind of gripped by this number fever.
It really was a collective obsession driven by that hope.
And Pepsi saw this, obviously. Huge engagement. So they decided to extend the contest. Another 5 weeks.
Makes sense from a marketing perspective, keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
But uh-oh.
Exactly. Because here's the crucial bit. They had a system, right, to control the winning caps.
Yeah, a computer program. It was meant to seed only just two, of the grand prize caps for each draw. Kept it manageable financially.
A safety net, basically. Risk management.
Essential when you've got potentially millions playing.
But when they extended it, something went wrong. A glitch in the system.
A big glitch.
So May 25th, 1992, 6 o'clock, Channel 2 Evening News, they announced the winning number.
And the number is 349.
349. Now, why is that number so important?
Because 349 had already been used in the contest. Crucially, it was designated as a non-winning number.
Ah, okay. So because it wasn't supposed to win anything big?
Exactly. There was no limit on printing it. It was just one of the common numbers out there on potentially hundreds of thousands of caps.
So not two winners like Pepsi planned?
Nope. Suddenly, maybe, over 600,000 people holding what they thought was a 1 million peso winning cap.
Wow. Just picture that moment. 6 p.m., the number's announced.
Instant pandemonium, you'd imagine. Pure joy.
Across the entire country, simultaneously, hundreds of thousands thinking, I've made it.
Their lives changed in an instant. Or so they believed.
And that's exactly what happened. Celebrations everywhere, people pouring into the streets.
Right. And then the next logical step for them.
Go get the money. Huge crowds descended on Pepsi bottling plants, waving their 349 caps.
It got chaotic fast. Police had to be called. Plants were shut down just to control the crowds.
Imagine the scene at Pepsi HQ. Panic stations, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. A late-night emergency meeting. Executives realizing the scale of this error.
Paying out 600,000 million peso prizes, that's, what, billions of dollars? Potentially ruinous?
Completely unsustainable. So they had to make a call.
And their decision was?
Blame a computer error. Which, well, technically it was.
Yeah.
But their solution wasn't quite what people expected.
They offered 500 pesos per cap.
Yep. About, what, $8 back then?
$8 instead of the promised 1 million pesos. That's like 0.5%.
A tiny fraction. They called it a goodwill gesture.
I can imagine how that went down. What was the public's take?
Furious. Absolutely furious. People felt cheated, lied to. They saw the number on TV.
The computer error explanation just didn't fly.
Not for a second. To them, Pepsi was this giant rich corporation trying to backtrack on its promise. The trust just evaporated.
And that anger, it didn't just stay as grumbling, did it?
No, it spilled over, fast and violently. Protests erupted. Riots.
We're talking serious violence. Attacks on Pepsi facilities, Molotov cocktails.
Delivery trucks bombed. It got incredibly ugly. Tragically, people died. 5 deaths linked to the riots. Dozens injured.
Just devastating, all stemming from a bottle cap contest.
Shows how deeply that hope and subsequent disappointment it ignited something.
Amidst all of this, the winners, or potential winners, started to organize.
Right. This group formed, calling themselves Coalition 349.
Led by a local preacher, Del Fierro.
That's the one. He rallied thousands, apparently over 8,000 people joined this coalition.
And they weren't just protesting anymore, they took legal action.
Yeah, they sued Pepsi, seeking massive damages, something like $400 million.
So it moved from street protest to the courtroom. But then things got even murkier, right? These allegations started surfacing.
Yeah, this is where it gets really dark. Old news reports, even some police testimony later on, suggested Pepsi might have played dirty.
How so?
The claim was that Pepsi might have hired mercenaries, basically, to infiltrate Coalition 349.
Infiltrate them. To do what?
To deliberately stir up trouble, incite riots, make the group look like violent extremists, like terrorists even.
Why would they do that?
The alleged goal was to discredit the coalition, damage their reputation, and basically undermine their lawsuit.
Wow. That's a really serious accusation against a major corporation.
Extremely serious. Now, it's crucial to state, Pepsi, through their lawyers, strongly denied all of it, vehemently.
I stuck to the unfortunate computer error line.
Pretty much. Their stance was, this is a terrible mistake, and their offer, while small, was what they could do without going under, essentially.
So you have these two completely opposing narratives. The people feeling cheated, and the company claiming it was an unavoidable accident compounded by financial reality.
Exactly. And the legal system had to try and sort it out.
How did the lawsuits actually play out? Did the coalition have any success?
Initially, yes. There was a moment in 1993. Seemed like a big win for them. Arrest warrants were actually issued for 9 Pepsi executives.
Really? For the executives, that must have felt like huge progress for the coalition members.
Oh, I'm sure. A sign that maybe the system was on their side.
But it didn't last.
No. That momentum faded. Over the next decade or so, nearly all the cases, the civil suits, the criminal complaints, they were dismissed.
Dismissed? Why? What was the legal reasoning?
It likely boiled down to proving negligence, or certainly proving those darker allegations. The computer error defense seems to have held up legally as a plausible, if unfortunate, explanation. Proving Pepsi was legally negligent was just too high a bar, it seems.
So no big payout for the 349 holders?
Nope. The final legal ruling came down in 2006. Courts officially closed the books.
And the finding was?
Pepsi was found not negligent in the whole affair.
Not negligent after everything. The riots, the deaths.
Legally speaking, no. The only penalty Pepsi ever faced was one relatively small fine. I think it was about 150,000 pesos.
Pocket change, really, considering the scale of it all.
Pretty much, yeah. A symbolic gesture at best, maybe.
And the legacy of this. For the people involved, it must have left scars.
Oh, absolutely deep scars. You hear stories, even decades later, people who lost everything betting on that win, the emotional trauma of having hope snatched away like that.
Yet sudden high, then the crash, and the violence.
Yeah, it's reportedly still a sore subject. Even just saying the word Pepsi in some communities can apparently bring back bad memories. The bitterness lingered for a long, long time.
Has Pepsi said anything about it more recently?
They did issue a statement relatively recently, acknowledged it happened a long time ago, pointed out none of the execs from back then are still there.
Kind of distancing the current company.
You could read it that way. They did express regret for any pain and suffering caused by the mistake.
Regret for the mistake. Okay, so boiling it all down, what do we take from this? It's a marketing campaign gone horrifically wrong.
Fundamentally, yes.
Yeah.
A simple idea taps into basic human hope for a better life.
Then a technical failure, a corporate response that inflamed rather than calmed.
And the result is widespread anger, violence, and lasting trauma. It's a case study in unintended consequences.
And it's just so intensely human, the scale of that collective hope, you know? Hundreds of thousands dreaming the same dream for a day.
Only to have it crushed. The emotional whiplash must have been unbelievable. Feeling like a millionaire one moment, feeling betrayed the next.
It really hammers home the responsibility these huge corporations have, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Their actions, even mistakes, don't happen in a vacuum. They impact real lives, sometimes dramatically.
Number fever is just such a stark reminder of that. The power imbalance, the potential for things to spiral.
Which leaves us with something to think about, I suppose. When things like this happen, this massive disconnect between a company's actions and the public impact. What is the right level of accountability, especially years later?
Yeah. What does real accountability look like when the consequences are this severe, even if the initial cause was labeled an error? Something to ponder.